And now a reading from Exodus, where God also was at work. After Pharaoh sent his people out, God did not take them by the coastal road that runs through the land of the Philistines, even though that was the nearest and the easiest route. Instead, God said, "For if they see battle with those contentious Philistines, they might regret their decision and they might return to captivity in Egypt." So God chose a different, longer, harder path that led the community of his people through the desert towards the Red Sea. The Israelites marched out of the land of Egypt like an army ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph made the Israelites swear an oath. "God will certainly come and rescue you. Carry my bones with you when you leave this place." And the people of Israel departed from Sukkot and set up camp in Etham at the edge of the desert. The Eternal went on ahead to guide them during the day in a cloud shaped like a pillar. At night, he appeared to them in a fire shaped like a pillar to light their way. So they were able to travel by day and by night. The Eternal did not remove the cloud pillar or the fire pillar. By day and by night, it continued to go ahead of his people. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe through every battle, through every heartbreak, through every circumstance. And I believe that you are my fortress, you are my portion, you are my hiding place. Oh, I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe through every blessing, through every promise, through every breath I take. And I believe that you are provider, you are protector, you are the one I love. And I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you, and you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay alone when I'm here with you. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you, and you meet me here today with mercies that are new, and all all my fears and doubts, they can all come true because they can't stay long when I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are. All right, church, one more time. I want you to put your hands up, and I want you to declare this with me, and I want you to mean it with everything that you have this morning. Here we go. The way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are the way, the truth, the life, and I believe you are. Amen.
Amen. I remember my first time walking through those doors. I wasn't even appointed here at Tom's Creek. And actually, I remember the smell of the flowers from Easter. And they overwhelmed me when I came through the door. And it wasn't a Sunday. I was here to meet the Staff Parish Relations Committee. They're the ones that kind of work with the pastor, and they're the first ones to know who the Methodist system, the Baltimore Washington Conference, who the bishop has appointed to the church, and they get to meet with them first. And so I was here for that meeting, and I went down to one of the classrooms, and we had a great meeting, and things were all going well. And then somebody said, well, so we really, really, really want to work with families and have a youth group, and what are you going to do for us? And everything else along the way, I had ideas and I could answer, and I looked at him and I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not the person to run that program. And you could see a couple of people going, oh, ooh. I said, if people step up in the life of the church, I'll walk with them. I'll go to the meetings. I can be, I'll have crazy fun with the kids, but you do not want me to be the face of and trying to lead that, because I will have to put all my time and energy in that if you wanted me to do that, and I wouldn't have time for anything else, because it's not my gift, and I know that, and there was a little bit of a disappointment. And actually, after the first service this morning, one of the people who was in the room said, I remember that, and I remember when you said that, and I was like, oh. I bring that to you because these next couple of weeks is a little bit of introspection for our church and our lives and where we've gone and where we're headed. And I believe that at that moment, with all that had just happened in the life of this church, that it was not the moment. It wasn't the moment to venture into that area, really. And sometimes it's just not. And sometimes we get disappointed and frustrated. And the scriptures talk about this. It gives us a great idea of sometimes why things don't happen the way we want them, and how sometimes God has to take us on a long journey that we wouldn't necessarily want to go on and we don't understand, for us to be prepared. It's taken that roundabout way to prepare us. So this morning from Exodus, I read it once, but this time it's the NRSV version. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God thought, if the people face war, they may change their minds and return to Egypt. Now this right here, this intrigues me because, they had been in a captivity for a very long time. And I am certain their fervent prayer to God is, we want to be freed. We want out here. We'll do whatever you want to get out of here. And so they've been freed, and they're starting on their journey. And as they're going, I am certain some people knew, they could look at the sun, and they knew the shape of the land and where they should have went and what the quickest path to get out of Egypt would be. And God was leading them around that area. And you could probably see some people go, why are we going this way? We want to get out of here. That's the way we got to go. And they thought they were ready to be able to go through that area. But they weren't ready. Those Philistines, they were brutal. They were a force to be reckoned with in the world. In their heyday, they would mow down places. They were awful. But these people were like, yes, we can handle it. They thought they could handle it. God said no. And as we continue on, so God led the people by the roundabout way of the wilderness towards the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of the land of Egypt prepared for battle. And when I read this, it makes me think that they really thought that they could have handled it. They thought they could have gone through that Philistine land, but God knew their hearts. Knew even though they thought they were ready, that if he sent them in, they would run screaming back to slavery, to captivity. So he took them on this roundabout way through the wilderness, a real long way. I mean, the way that they could have won through Philistine, it would have been a 2-day journey. They would have been done. But instead, they had to take this long, long journey. And if anybody was there, they might have been saying, wait a minute, how are we going to get over? If somebody knew the geography and some of them had passed it on from generation to generation, they go, well, wait a minute. God not only is doing this roundabout way, but how are we going to get through the Red Sea? Well, that comes later. And Moses took with him the bones of Joseph, who had required a solemn oath of the Israelites, saying, God will surely take notice of you, and then you must carry my bones with you from here. Now, I believe that as they were leaving there and taking their bones, many people had thought that Joseph had lied to them. When he said, take my bones, you're going to make it to this other place, they started to not trust anymore because they had been in slavery and captivity generation after generation. Maybe after the 30, 40, 50 years, they started to say, Joseph said to take those bones. We're never going to get out of here. God hasn't answered our prayer yet. And then 100 years goes by, and they're like, yeah, God is never going to get us out of here. And then 200 years go by, and it keeps on going. I am certain while they were there in captivity and slavery, they started to believe God's forgotten about us. Joseph was wrong. He believed God, but we've lost faith. They started to question whether or not God was ever going to free them from captivity. And here they are now. They're out of there taking this long journey in a different way than they expected, the roundabout way, but they had these bones with them. And God had proved to be faithful. They set out from Sukkot and camped at Etham at the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went in front of them in a pillar of cloud by day to lead them along the way, in a pillar of fire by night to give them light so that they might travel by day and by night. And I believe that's the practical application, that was there to lead them and guide them by day or by night. But I think with all that they have gone through, and then going on this long way around and all of that they needed that sign with them. Not just having faith, but they needed a sign right with them. So by day and by night, that pillar and that cloud was there to let them know God was with them. As they were on this roundabout journey that was going to take them into places that they did not know, that they were going to struggle to make it through, God knew that there needed to be this presence, visible presence with them, day and night. So yes, it did allow them to know where to go and what to follow, but I really think part of it was also giving that reassurance. God is leading them with them at that moment. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place in front of the people. But they made it out. And we know how the rest goes. We know that they're going to meet the Red Sea, and it's going to come open, and they're going to make it through the other side, and the waters are going to close on the Egyptians that were following, and they were finally going to be freed from the slavery, the captivity. And this brings me back to what I was talking about earlier, about that first meeting, and about sometimes we're not ready. Sometimes we're not ready for what we think we're ready for. And that happens with a church. A church can think, we're ready for this. This is what we really want. But sometimes things have to happen. We have been blessed on this journey this last 7-8 years that things have come together. The debt is paid off. We had a mortgage when I got here that was $1.2 million for a small little church like this. And I said, huh. And I looked at the paperwork because I'm a numbers guy and said, 40% of all that's coming in is going to pay off the mortgage payment. Whew, that scared me. But you know what? That mortgage is gone. We're freed. And along the way, we've developed new relationships. We've overcome and tackled that. Something that nobody would say would be possible, that I'd be saying that in December, January this year, that I was able to burn that mortgage note. When I got here, people would say, oh, that's 20 years away. That's 20 years away. God walked with us through that, and we've been freed from that. And if anybody knows, everybody in the world doesn't like it when churches ask for money or talk about money. But people that have younger families that we want to reach out to, they really, it kind of scares them. It turns them off because they know they're putting all their money into getting food for the kids and to pay the bills and to get all the stuff they need for sports or for the band or for all these other things. And they don't want to feel guilty about not being able to give. That's gone. That debt of our church is gone. And I think so many things means now we're in that right place. And I think of Holly joining us with her musical talent, but she also has Hunter with her. And Carly, she knows what it means to have to raise a family nowadays and is willing to help us with that because it's a little bit more of a gift for her than it is for me. But nobody can do it alone. And I look out and I see all these people who through the years have said, this is what we want. Well, God's saying, now is the time. We've been on this roundabout way. You're ready. Are we going to step up? Now, the same passage also goes to our personal lives. We also get frustrated when God takes us on these roundabout ways in our personal lives. So I have a question for you. What have you been hoping to happen in your life or in the world that you're frustrated about? And if you are being honest, mad that God hasn't made happen yet. Now, when I talk to people, they'll also say, oh, well, I'm not frustrated with God. I'm not mad at God about this. But honestly, when we have our fervent prayers, when we say we're ready for something, that we want something to happen, and it doesn't happen, we get frustrated at God. We all do. Pastors do. Doesn't matter. We all have those moments where we get frustrated when it isn't the way that we wanted it. It wasn't the path that we would want to go. When we say, God, why are you taking me on this long journey? Why haven't you answered my prayer yet? Why haven't you found me that job? Why haven't you cured the ailment that's been causing me so much problems? Why haven't you done it yet, God? And we get frustrated and we get angry. Or we have plans for what we want to do and they keep on falling apart and we don't get to do them. We get angry and frustrated. Often, though, when we look back, we see God's been taking on us a roundabout journey that we cannot understand. This week, as I reflected, it's a little bit off topic, but not really. I was thinking of the great theologian and country singer, Garth Brooks. And he has a song, Unanswered Prayers, and it goes, sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. Remember when you're talking to the man upstairs that just because he doesn't answer doesn't mean he don't care. Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. And the same thing is sometimes we're not ready. We think we're ready, but we're not. And trust me, I've seen it time and time again. We all do it. I've done it in my life where we think we're ready to tackle something, but we're really not. We often don't view the situation really clearly. God has God eyes. We don't. And we think we're ready for something. We're certain we're ready for something. We're really not. And then we get frustrated when it's not answered. But sometimes what's happening is God's leading us on this roundabout way. And eventually, we're going to get right back to where we wanted to go. But we're going to get there prepared, ready for it. The longer way, the tougher way, the wilderness way, the roundabout way often is preparing us for something of great significance and shaping us to be able to help others and transform the world. I think that's the case. I think, Trudy, That's what's happening with Amber. And it's the roundabout way, and it gets frustrating and upsetting when it stops and starts and fits and goes and ready, not ready. But man, the roundabout way, when she gets through this, she'll be able to help the people that she wants to help. That's what she wants. She wants to walk beside people and help them and bring healing to them. And you know what? She'll have all this experience of all the times where she's experienced these rough times, and she'll be able to help them even in a better way. At the first service, I talked about Earl and Joanne Keller. They lost a child who was relatively young, and it devastated them. But through the years, they were able to walk with others when they lost a child, and they were able to say, yeah, we've been through there. Not just trite sayings, but they could say, we've been through there. We felt devastated, and we were crying, and we were broken. But God walked with us, and we made it through. And they can share that with somebody else. On a personal level, I experienced this just last Sunday morning. Last Sunday morning, I was thinking about maybe coming to this service, to the 10:30 service, and coming and being here, and I kept feeling, no. Holly's father, Chet, was coming, and I didn't want people to be saying, oh, Pastor Heath's here, and not listen to him. And I know how people are, because you are all wonderful people, and you get excited to see, but then you wouldn't focus on the worship and what was before you. And I said, no, I'm just not going to go, as much as I kind of wanted to. And then in the midst of the service, Michael called me to say that he had gotten bad news, that an officer had died unexpectedly at home. And I was free to be able to drive him down there and to go in there and to be with the family. And you never know what to say. There's never anything you can really say. But the roundabout way in my life, when I lost my parents at 17 years old, 3 weeks apart, I could look little Addie in the eye, who had seen her father in bed not moving, and be able to say, I know this is awful. There's no words I can give you, but I can tell you that I lost my parents, and I made it through. I made it through, and God was with me in the midst of that. And so I'm not just giving trite phrases to her. I can say from real life, hey, I made it through what most people say, how did you make it through? I don't know, but God was with me. And I could tell her honestly, she can too. Those are those roundabout ways that we can't understand. Remember, we're in a broken, fallen world, and Satan makes bad things happen. Brings things that God didn't make happen, but we live in a broken world. But God will reuse those moments, use those moments that we have to redeem them, to bring hope, to bring healing. So I could look her in the eye and honestly say that she can make it through, because I've gone through and made it through tough times. That's that roundabout way. God's redeeming value even in the midst of this broken world. This week I also had the opportunity to go see My Brother's Crossing. We had it up here as an opportunity for people to go to the movie theaters and to see. And when I went there, it's a story about forgiveness, but what I noticed most about the story is this gentleman, J.T. Clark. He was an atheist, agnostic. His wife was a devout Christian. Before they were married and after they were married, every day she would pray that he would come to faith, that he would be saved. Never happened. Never happened for the longest time. And his brother was involved in the church, and every time he could, he'd bring up an opportunity to try to get JT to come to faith, and it never happened. And they were getting older and older. And in this movie, JT's brother is involved in an auto accident with his wife, and they die. And from this roundabout way, JT comes to faith. You would never think. You would think it would push people away. Instead, from God, in this case, it started him on a path of believing and having faith. And so I was at that movie theater, and JT was there for that movie showing, and he said with his own words that his brother would have wanted this to happen this way if just one person came to faith. And JT can tell you story after story and story. On top of JT who came to faith, all these other people that came to faith. And I thought about his wife, who day after day, every morning he said his wife would write a prayer to God, asking for her husband to be saved and for God to watch over him. And she could have given up after 10 years, after 20 years. She could have given up and said, God's never going to make this happen. But she didn't. And now he's somebody who's going around this country, created a film that people are watching that shows about forgiveness, about how God offers grace and forgiveness in the midst of this world, and is bringing other people to faith. That's the roundabout way we cannot understand or comprehend. So my friends, I say that to you because right now we're on that roundabout way. And now God's bringing us back to that first meeting I had. We've got so many exciting things planned for September to start really being in ministry with families and young children. And we've said, so many have said, yes, yes, we want to be part of it. Now's the call. Now's the time. Are we going to? Are we all going to step up? Meaning those of us that are 80 years old or 90 or 100 and think, well, I don't know if I can do anything. There's always something, whether it's manning a popcorn machine or whether or not it's just bathing the ministries in prayer or being there to do paperwork and say, you know what, I can't do much on my feet, but boy, I could handle doing this and the paperwork's behind the scene. Who knows? But we're at that roundabout time. We've gotten there. God's brought us back to what we've said we want, and now we're ready for it. Are we willing to do that? Are we willing to take it on? Will you pray with me? Holy One, we come this morning not understanding really why things happen the way they do. And some of us are here in our own lives are going, why, Lord? Why? I still don't understand. Lord, give us strength this day to trust that you are in the midst, that sometimes you take us on a roundabout way to get where we want to go. You take a roundabout way to get those prayers answered. Lord, have us not lose faith. Have us not lose hope. Lord, be with us. Be with each of us and be with this church and our ministries as we walk forward, trusting that on the roundabout way you are with us. We pray this in your holy and precious name. Amen.
You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. That is who you are. 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 That is who you are.
Some announcements this morning, and for most of these things, almost all of them, if you go through those doors, there's a table there with a sign-up sheet. It's right next to the mailboxes. You can check your mailbox, and then there's sign-up sheets for what God's calling you and how God's calling you to step up and to use your gifts. We have a family fun night planned for Saturday, September 11th. It's really 5:30. I put 5 on here. 5 to 10 p.m. At the beginning, we're going to have food and activities. 7:30, there's going to be a double feature drive-in movie. We're going to use that FM transmitter that we used for last summer at the Promised Land to get our worship services. Well, the roundabout way, God has us now, we have it, and people can actually be in their car with their FM radio on, and we can do a true drive-in if people want, but we'll also have speakers up there and everything else. But, as I said, there's a lot of help that's needed to make this happen. And while we're calling it a family fun night, that's everybody. If somebody who's, an 80-year-old couple wants to come to family fun night because they like stuff like that, it's open to everyone. But our hope is that it's not for us here at Tom's Creek. We're trying to reach the communities around us, the families around us. We're trying to reach them, to let them know we're here and we want to provide for them a service. And it's also a time for us to invite them to come that next Sunday to Round Up Sunday, where we're gonna have some fun. We're all gonna be encouraged to invite whoever they are, whatever their age is, to come to church that Sunday. And we're gonna kick off our Sunday school and everything else. I'm gonna do a little bit more about that later. We do have the concert on the hill. The His Songs are back. That's Saturday, September 18th from 5 to 7. 5 o'clock is the dinner. It's going to be scaled back from the one we did before. This is going to be burgers and hamburgers and stuff. And then the concert at 6. please invite people to come to this. Nursery Volunteers. We're looking to open back up the nursery for 3 and under. I know when you think of nursery, you just think little babies, but for our cases, we're trying to do it 3 and under. They're needed for our Sunday school time so that parents can drop their kids off to Sunday school or the nursery and then be able to go and learn about Christ and what it means to be a disciple and to be part of an adult Sunday school class. And then we also want to offer it during this service. And we know that there are going to be days where no one shows up for the nursery. We're praying that we grow into that, but if we don't offer it, we'll never have the people come because they won't feel that we have anything available to them to be able to have their children and their babies cared for while they worship. So please sign up for that, knowing that you might sign up and that week you may not be needed. That's all right. You can go over to Adult Sunday School at that time, or you can just enter back into worship here at 10:30. Children's Church, we're going to be launching that also on that same Sunday, the 19th, and it's going to be during this service, and the purpose is that we get to see some of the kids, and they'll be up here for children's time, but then they're going to go downstairs, and they're going to learn, they're going to have their own worship, and it's going to connect with them, and it'll allow our parents and those that brought the kids to be able to fully enjoy worship, and for a moment to know that their kids are cared for while they're restored and filled up. And we've been blessed that a couple people have stepped up to lead it and to kind of start the beginning parts of it. But we need a lot of people behind the scenes to make sure that we keep the kids focused and on task and all of that. And so we're going to need people for that. We're going to have a meeting on Sunday, September 12th for anybody who's interested after the service, for anybody who wants to be a part of that. If you can't come then, talk to Holly, let her know. And this is just us preparing for that. A lot of it is just the ministry of presence. A lot of these, we need somebody there so that those that have the task at hand can do that without being distracted by all the other things. And the presence is you can come and you can say, hey, little one that's having an issue, I'm going to take you over here and let's have our own time while that continues on. We need those types of people. So it's not hard to do. It's really just a ministry of presence is really some of those supports we need. And then youth group. We need people to help be part of this ministry. It's going to be for 6th grade and up. We're starting that on September 19th at 5 to 6. Go ahead, Holly, for that or anything else you wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do the little ones. So that is my daughter and even my son. Their specialty is those little kids in that younger age group. I love the teenagers, which is weird, but it's a calling, and I love just ministering to that group of kids. And as most of you know, I was in charge of the youth group at my last church, and it was just awesome. It was a phenomenal opportunity, but I do need help with helping with the music ministry and building the music ministry, which actually I want to thank Marty. We were able to get Marty to come out and play with us this morning. He came out to the Promised Land and played with us, so thank you. It was awesome having him here this morning. With the music ministry and helping, just develop the children's church ministry and youth group, I will need the right people to help me with this, whether it be leading, rotating different Sundays. If it's something that you're interested in or know someone who you're like, oh, wow, they would be perfect, just put them in contact with me.
Thing is, if you need anything, when you have the bulletin, there's numbers there. For my cell phone number is always on there. You can text or call. The church number's in there, and if you call, it'll say, press 1 for the church secretary, 2 for the pastor. Call, and you can reach me. Fridays is my day off. I try not to check email and try to not answer phones unless it's an emergency on that day, as just a day of stepping away for a moment. But please feel free to reach out if you ever have need, even if it's someone who has need. Sometimes that happens. I feel blessed that people have trusted that, just like when Michael called me last week. To go to somebody's house that they've never met and trusted that I would be able to minister to them and trusted me to do that. Sometimes we just need that, and it allows us to reach out beyond our doors and our walls. So please, if you ever have something, let me know, and we will try to help. Those are the announcements for this morning. So now let us get ready to finish off this worship service, to just get restored and rejuvenated, and to get out of here going, woo! I'm on fire for God. My faith's been restored. I've been lifted up. So let us rise up as they lead us.
Your love
as we prepare to leave, as we prepare to go back to all those things that are part of our life that we've been dealing with and struggling with as we came in. As we leave, let us know, let us be reminded, let us be our faith restored that we do not take this journey alone. And while it feels like it's maybe been harder than we expected or longer than we expected, that as we leave those doors, God goes with us and walks with us into the world. Let us trust, let us have faith that God is walking with us as we leave and will be with us as we go through our week. And let it bring us hope and let it bring us strength in our days until we return again to this place and gather together in God's house. Go forth as those children of God. Amen.